Hello, my name is Benjamin Sapin, and this is my overview of the stable radial head fracture of the elbow and the mechanism I have designed to help aid in rehabilitation. So the fracture normally occurs in a situation with a sudden jarring or force of brace when your arm is extended, and depending on the severity of the fracture, it's given different classifications. Type 1 is a small crack where the bone still remains together. Type 2 is slightly displaced but involves large piece of bone, as you can see on the image on the left here. And type 3 is where the bones are broken into multiple pieces and it can't be put back together without surgery. So the non-surgical rehabilitation, which can be used for type 1 and 2 fractures, after confirming with the doctor that your fracture is stable and you can do the range of motion exercises, you can either do supination and pronation of the forearm, indicating with these images here, or flexion and extension of the elbow joints, indicated here. But it's usually done with your upper arm on a flat surface to limit the bicep activity, due to promoting the triceps leads to improved range of motion, reduced pain and stiffness. If you do not do the exercises, even though if you advise to, on average you can lose about 10 degrees of your range of motion, and the stiffness and pain of the joint will persist throughout the days. My mechanism is a crank rocker mechanism with 4 rigid links and 4 revolute joints. This is so it can be able to help with both flexion and extension of the elbow joint. Due to it only having 1 degree of freedom, it's very good for uses like this, as it can be fully operational with just one motor in one point. So this is just an overview of how a crank rocker works. As you can see, this length S here is the crank, which will rotate a full 360 degrees, and that causes the follower P here to move back and forth. But to allow the continuous motion of the crank and the mechanism itself, S and L need these two here need to be less or equal to Q and P here, and this is to satisfy Grashoff's law, just to allow continuous motion. Here is the mathematical analysis of my mechanism. As you can see, the values that I already knew, which are the 4 lengths and theta A, because you control that with a motor in real life and you can work it out. Here are my positioning equations and how I work through them, and then you differentiate the position equation to get the velocity equations, and then you differentiate the velocity equation to get the acceleration equations. So here's the physical prototype that I made. So in real life, the motor would be in joint A, which is this one here. Originally, I only had 2 washers in my design, and that was these 2 wooden ones just here. And that was to give some clearance from the middle to allow the 2 linkages to pass through the middle without touching. But when I use split pins to connect them as the revolute joints, they kept getting caught because they're not completely flat. So first I wanted to drill into the wood and then have them flat against the surface, but then I realized if I just used 2 more washers, it would do the exact same thing, but also reduce the surface area and friction, allowing for a smoother overall motion. So as you can see here, this is my crank. This is the fixed link which will be attached to your upper arm, and then this is the follower which will attach to your forearm and allow the movement. And here is the coupler, which is also the longest in my design. So here are the videos. This is of it attached to me, and as you can see, as you move the arm, the mechanism doesn't restrict or restrict anything. In real life, the motor would be there and would allow for you to move it a full 360. But as you can see in here, this video, this is the full motion of my mechanism, rotating both ways, which means it's up to you whichever way you want, because it still gets the full range of motion. As you can see, it gets a very good flexion and also decent range of motion in the flexion as well, to help with the overall range of motion of your mechanism. Thank you for listening today. My name is Benjamin Sapin, as I said, and thank you.